Welcome to the Citizen Feed, a podcast brought to you by Delta X85, Mazda 69, and Ace Rimmer 36. We will be bringing you a weekly podcast regarding everything Star Citizen. We will give you reviews. We will look at content creation from CIG. And this week, we'll actually begin by introducing ourselves. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start off with Mazda 69. Mazda, tell us who you are, how long you've been in Star Citizen, and what actually brought you to Star Citizen.
Thanks, Delta, and welcome everyone. I'm Mozsta69, part of the Skeleton crew based here in Sydney, Australia. And what brought me to Star Citizen was, a passion for sci-fi. And I'll never forget the day that one of my friends showed me a picture of a freelancer, which is a logistics ship, and I just immediately fell in love with the concept of being able to be a hauler in a giant MMO space game. So I didn't even have a PC at the time. Ended up I was a console gamer predominantly. Went and invested in a computer and got into Star Citizen about 4 years ago. Delta.
So you converted over to PC gameplay because of Star Citizen.
Yes, yeah, and a picture of the freelancer actually converted me, and it's funny because today I despise the freelancer, so it's ironic.
Okay. So let me get this correct. All it took for you to fall in love with Star Citizen and stay here for 4 years straight is a picture of a ship that you hate.
Pretty much. There was this.
The fucking irony.
Don't forget, there was a friend next to me whispering sweet nothings in my ear about
Okay.
giant universe. You can do whatever you want, and yada yada yada. So that was accompanied by a picture of a freelancer. But yeah, you're spot on.
I can see that working, yeah.
Okay, I got you. Um, and so we actually have the man of mystery directly from Stanton himself, Ace Rimmer. Ace, tell us what got you into Star Citizen outside of the fact that you're from Stanton.
Well, the deep love of science fiction. It's always been a thing in my life, and ever since I saw Star Citizen, and I don't know when that was, like 215. In 2015, I thought like, yeah, it's gonna be cool. But I waited until like a year and a half, 2 years ago to actually buy into it. But I have been there since,
Okay.
and I don't plan on quitting. It's an amazing experience,
Yeah, actually,
in all regards.
I absolutely agree with that. So I'm Delta X85. I'm a relatively new player, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've been in this development for a long time. I actually came from Life is Feudal MMO back in December of 2020 when those servers shut down. I wanted to find another MMO to play. Had never really gotten into space simulators or space games at all. However, our group shifted into Star Citizen and I downloaded it, went to play it. And unfortunately, at that point, I think it was in 3.12, it wouldn't run on my computer. So that motivated me to build a new PC. Did that, been in for a little while now. Still learning. The learning curve is steep and hard.
Oh yes.
Uh, However, with diving into that while I was building my computer, I did a shit ton of research to make sure that when I got into the game that I was very familiar with a lot of the concepts already. Then I met these guys, and our love of Star Citizen. We decided to start a podcast, so we're bringing you a panoramic view of from 4 years to less than a year. So everybody's got a different perspective, and I think that actually will bring to the podcast uh, something unique. Uh, we 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 all have different views on it, the actual in game perspective. But so let's actually. What have you guys been doing in Star Citizen? Ace, what have you been doing this week?
Well, this week I've been mainly helping out noobs to basically get a grasp of what is what and how stuff works, giving flight lessons and whatnot. It's sometimes kind of frustrating for new players to be confronted with all this information at once, and I want everybody to experience what Star Citizen can actually be for you. So helping them out, getting their bearings and finding their way around Stanton is kind of a good thing. I enjoy it.
Yeah, man, and you contributing your time and your services. I know Ace has helped me out a lot, and Ace is actually a good coach, good teacher. He is very patient, and I would have to say that as far as the population overall, the Star Citizen players are very receptive. And for those individuals that aren't, let's make sure that we don't create a toxic environment to where we're allowing players to come in and asking for help on whatever platform they are. Let's make sure we are jumping in, guys, and helping them. We want to see this game be successful, and with the learning curve where it's at, it's going to take every citizen to help new citizens as much as possible. And that's one of the things that I do like about this game. So, Maz, tell me what you've been up to this week.
Just to touch on your guys' points, I think the Star Citizen community is super helpful, super friendly to.
Yeah,
Obviously, that
absolutely.
there's moments of conflict when people are fighting each other, and some people get salty when they get blown up. But that's in any community. Regardless of that, they're really
Yeah.
really friendly. And once they detect that you're new, man, they go out of their way. They're like, "Here, fly my ships. What do you need to know?" So
Need
really
some
Here's,
cash.
need
here's
some
a million
cash.
credits.
100 million. One of my friends
Yeah,
got
man.
$100 million, man. Like, yeah,
Holy shit.
people throwing money. 100 million. Yeah, he bought like.
Balling ass motherfuckers.
So yeah, really friendly community. What I've been doing this week, guys, is I am a logistics and mining pilot. Or gamer. I don't like using the word pilot. Well, that's another topic. But like most of the server, I've been doing a lot of bounty hunting, and I've taken the opportunity to use a ship that I've loved dearly since the beginning, and that's the Drake Buccaneer. I haven't been able to use the Buccaneer the last few years because of shield holes and different problems. It made the Buccaneer almost unsurvivable. But now that the shields have been
Yeah,
updated,
pretty much.
yeah, um, I've actually been, stubbornly flying in the Buccaneer, and at the beginning it was rough. I was losing, most of my fights, if not all of my fights, but slowly, learning the strengths and weaknesses of the buck, and putting the appropriate weapons on. I started getting a few victories, and yeah, so for a non-PvPer, I love the fact that Star Citizen's pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I've just been PvPing the last week in the verse, which has been great.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been flying around doing some bounties. Everything else in the game seems to be in a state of fucked right now. So, running bounties, trying to save up some credits, buy ships. I haven't bought any ships this week, but Ace and I actually ran together the other day. Some bounties. Had some close calls, working on my flight skills, trying to become a better pilot. Uh, I think I think I'm actually gonna focus today when we finish this podcast on work on some mining. Outside of that, I ran into some new players. I've got into the habit of jumping into Star Citizen Discord. then I'll create my own voice channel and just sit there and wait for people to come. Build it, they would come. They do. They jump in, and it's mostly new players. So I've actually been helping out new players myself and trying to make the community better. It really blows my mind. I've never had a Discord or a game I've played where I would sit in the Discord for the actual game and have that many players just show up, random players. One dude was in the org UEE, so those guys have been around for a while. Cool dude, and several other people jumped in.
It's a
Outside of
great
that,
Discord. It's a
nothing
great
too
Discord.
specific. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, Outside of that, just oh yeah, I have a confession to make. I do love shopping, so I've been spending probably more money in armor, guns, probably more in armor. Yeah. What
No,
was the
no
player that we
t-shirts.
we
No
we played
t-shirts.
with the other? Yeah, yes. T-shirts,
Was Kruger.
shoes. Yeah, Kruger. What was
Shout
Kruger
out to
say?
Kruger.
Kruger said he spends more time playing Starship Barbie than anything else. I do have to say
Well,
that.
I gotta tell you, man, Stanton is all about the looks.
Oh man, Art Corp. Yeah, we did run into what was the store?
Cali Blast.
Chubby Blast. Yeah, technically it was Cubby, but we walked to the store and I was like, dude, it's fucking Chubby Blast. Uh, that was a badass store, though. I do have to say that I fell in love with this game once I got in because my ability to fly from station to station and just buy shit. Like I love buying shit. So yeah, that I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in the game
Oh
that
man,
likes
I
that,
I can't wait.
especially being able to customize the armor. It's
Yeah,
fucking awesome, dude.
I mean
I
I
My
don't
can't.
even wear
inventory
my
agrees.
clothes that I wear.
Yeah, I can't wait to like be able to
Go
wear
ahead, go ahead.
like a Michael Jordan singlet and Adidas track pants and fly my Cutlass. That's my dream.
Oh, that's right. You're an
Yeah.
NBA fan.
Yeah,
We need
So
trucker hats.
yeah,
yeah,
then we need trucker hats and fucking beards.
that's it.
Yeah, and flamethrowers while we're at it.
Yeah, fucking
Fucking
flamethrowers and
flamethrowers.
plasma rays. I want a plasma array at my hip. Just fire from the hip with a plasma array. Cut some, cut some motherfuckers. All right, so we yeah, it's actually been a good week. So it sounds like we've all been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Uh, so what we're gonna do at this point, we're gonna transition into one of our segments where we cover Star Citizen Live, the game dev video alien encounter. So for the listeners, what we're gonna do is we will be covering the videos that came out a week before our podcast. We like to give ourselves some time to actually watch the videos, listen to it. If there's some research involved that that flags an interest for us, we can bring you a little more information on that. So just to give the listeners a heads up, we will be a week, quote unquote, late on our review. So with the alien encounter video, did any of you guys see that?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Um, the Jeremiah Lee and Jared, those two guys in combination, that's almost comedy. I always watch those.
Yeah,
They're
that's funny.
usually fun and yeah, they're entertaining. And the other cool thing about those kind of videos is it shows how much effort goes into every little single detail. I mean, every little concept that gets drawn up, even if it's not used in the end, takes a lot of creative energy, a lot of work, a lot of focus, and it's easy to bitch about the game, but it's also easy to lose focus about how big it is, how much you have to have. Every little asset, every trash can, every little bit of trash you find on the street in in any of the locations All that has to be drawn, all that has to be concepted, all that has to be proved, has to be modeled, has to be implemented into the game. It's a lot of effort, and I
Yeah.
respect that.
Just to piggyback on what you're saying there, I know that Star Citizen has a lot of haters. Hell, there are a lot of people in the game that continue to play it, which is a major form of irony that bitch about. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
so this game is unprecedented, man. I think for us, from just us being together and having conversations, we are those players that are able to identify the issues that the game has, but on the other hand, we are also able to stand back and be objective. Um,
You gotta understand the
yeah,
vision.
and then balance the bias. The devil's advocate. Like, guys, listen. This game is absolutely going to be phenomenal once it releases. However, we have to move ourselves out from having this alpha beta release
Yeah,
viewpoint on the game, because this game is going to be perpetual. If we have a perpetual universe, we're also going to have perpetual, not just development, but we will continuously get patches. So the idea of putting in an alpha beta release perspective is unnecessary, in my opinion. Uh, Maz, what did you think about
Yeah,
the
I mean,
encounter video?
oh, I loved it. So Jeremiah Lee is one of my favorite artists. I love, as Ace said, man, I love to watch him and Disco Lando go at it. It's really entertaining. And I love as a guy that
yeah.
doesn't as a guy that doesn't know how to. I've always been jealous of artists. I collect comics and I kind of love good art, and which is another reason why I came into Star Citizen. I think the artwork is just outstanding and impeccable, and watching an artist go through his process for
Oh yeah.
me is really intriguing. I come from a very like engineering mathematical background, but I've got this kind of appreciation for art and I wish I could draw. So when I see another person go through the process, I'm like, wow, man, I wish I could do that. So more than anything, the for me, the technical side of Star Citizen's development is not as interesting to me. It's more the artistic stuff that I watch. If there's a hardcore dev, kind of technical dev video, I tend to start dropping off, halfway through.
It's the
Um,
same for me.
but art, I could watch a guy, do art all day. I think the sloth they did. I think they nicknamed him the Sloth Star, didn't they? At the end of the video.
Yeah, they were bouncing some ideas back and forth. I think that's what they ultimately ended with. So,
The
Maz,
Sloth
I'm
Star.
actually jealous of you because you can do math problems. When people ask me to do
It's the
math,
same
I'm
for
like,
me.
dude, I was a fucking liberal arts major. I don't have time for that.
You, my
Give
man,
me a calculator or an app.
you can throw an axe,
Uh,
dude.
oh
So
yeah,
that's a different story.
that's
So
absolutely
guys,
true.
Delta is the first axe thrower that I know. The guy throws an axe for a living. So I'd rather throw an axe than do any maths. So there you go, mate.
Yeah. I don't want to do I don't want to do math period. But yeah, I do throw axe. That is a true statement. So with that video, we actually were able to see concept development. From what I've seen, a lot of people do tend to get bored with those videos. The three of us pretty much consume all of the content that we run across, which is unique because I haven't met too many people on the same level of interest of like, I want to consume all and every information that I can actually find on a subject. So with that video, even though it did not deal with game mechanics per se, we saw how a concept could start off from nothing, utilizing a few ideas thrown at them on the fly within an hour. Jeremiah Lee had a pretty cool Wookiee slash what is the creature
A
from
raccoon.
yeah, the raccoon from that one show. And I do like comics. Quit watching Marvel after Disney bought it. I have my own personal issues with that. But
We all do.
That's what it reminded me of. It was like a
Yeah.
cross. It was a hybrid between the two. Pretty cool creature. The thing about that though is they are presenting it to the lure team to put it into the lure. However, it is not going to be an actual creature in the universe. Is more going to be a less like a fictionalized character, um, but it
Okay.
will be in lure.
Okay.
Uh, Maybe they said they were going to throw it at the lure team if they put it in. They do. If they don't,
Some stuff of the videos actually ends up in game. So like they had a uniform
That's right. Yep.
they made in one
The
of the SCL
was that
shows, and
the UEE one?
yeah, the one
yeah,
with the
Yeah.
bandolier here
Oh, okay.
the
over the
old
shoulder.
one. It was
The
an
old school
it
deal.
was an old school uniform. Yeah.
Yeah, like a dress uniform almost, like with.
So the jumping off that into this, the another video we got was the EU and PU team. Now that was actually very intriguing. There were a lot of ideas thrown out there. So they kind of went over ship to ship refueling, loop generation, long distance probing, and from that we were long distance probing.
Yeah.
Is that what got you there?
Sorry.
It's space. It
Dirty
involves
mind.
probing.
Dirty mind. Sorry.
It's
No,
totally
dude.
okay.
The sad fucking thing is like I knew what triggered you.
Yeah.
Uh, so so Maz, since you decided to be the man of the hour, well, what were some key points that you liked about the video?
Well, man, actually, long distance probes was actually quite intriguing. That I always thought there would be like a little, drone or whatever probe that you would sort of shoot out the back of your ship and then travel like a short distance away, and get some sort of analysis out of it. But these guys are talking about, you know, a probe which is, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of
Long
kilometers
distance.
away. Yeah, very long distance, and then being able to get all this information surrounding that probe. Then you can do some analysis gameplay. I thought I heard them say in your ship to determine, what the information is saying, and then you can use that information to your benefit. I mean, I was just sitting there, my jaw was dropping to the floor, thinking, you know, whatever the problems in Star Citizen, the desync, the 50 people on a server, the 30Ks, the at the moment I can't take my freaking weapon out. I mean, God bless their vision that they just are not intimidated by technical limitations, and they keep planning big and building blocks that have no, they don't cut any corners, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. So that could be a double-edged sword. It could make the development go for another 150 years, but at the same time, for me, I'm glad someone in the gaming industry is doing what Star Citizen's doing, because there's a million brilliant games I can play that I love. I love all sorts of games, but I'm glad there's one group of people that are like, have got no boundaries to their visions, and they're trying to climb Mount Everest. If they fail, they fail. But
Well, dude, they're building a universe, not a level. So
yeah,
Yeah.
so you got to
yeah,
take that into consideration. But so you are right. There is going to be data gameplay into that. So from what I took from it was with the long distance probing, we're actually going to be able to send out the probes, take the information, let it process. When the information feeds back, you will get data at your ship or wherever you're gonna process this. And as you compare, eventually, like the longer you do it, the better you will be at it by reading signatures. So
so
everything is
cool.
going to have a signature. It is not going to be a situation to where it's going to be more or less from what I took from it, closer to like in comparison, an analogy is not a direct comparison, but how radar was back in the day, you're not really getting images. You're getting information back. So when this information comes back, you have to, determine what things are. So whatever form this comes back to you as, it may be a large ship, or it may be a cluster, and the longer you do it, the better and more accurate you will be at reading those signatures. So you would actually have someone in your group, or you yourself, you would be a data reader. You may even have to employ somebody like, what do you think this signature looks like, to get feedback from that.
Yeah.
So that actually is going to make the game completely different. And I think if I remember correctly, I think they said that we will actually be able to sell the data or the locations, once you probe, if you go there and determine that this area is great for mining, or if you jump there and you jump into a situation where you run into hostile players because you thought it was just a few ships, but you couldn't read the signature, and it's actually a big ass pirate ship.
That's
you
right.
may be screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, turning ships off and such will also influence that. You could have like 40 guys sitting there, but just one guy has his ship turned on, so it's a small signature. And once you get there, it's just like a whole gang waiting for you.
Yeah.
Yep. So one of the things that I actually liked about the video, I mean, there were several things, but one thing that stood out to me was the laser trip mines. I don't know if they meant that those were actually going to be placed in an environment when you're searching around. Uh, but if we could get laser trip mines and buy it at Cubby Blast, I would definitely have quite a few of them.
I'd put
I
them
would put
like,
them. I would put them. Yeah, I would put them right at my ramp, or my doors, in case you get those players that like to be asses and hijack
exactly
your
what I was
ship.
going to say, man. Put them on the ramp on my
Oh,
cutlass.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, exact same thing. What about you, Ace? What did
I
you?
fly an MSR, I'll have problems with that one.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
one entry point.
Yeah.
just you have to just set it there like a claymore from Call of Duty.
Well, you know where the
Uh,
laser is. You just
what
like
it what it?
walk over it, you know?
Oh yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, just
True.
just try to skip the wire. What could go wrong? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Ace, did you watch the video?
Yeah, absolutely. What I liked about it was the looting system that's going to come, because loot is kind of, it always felt important in any type of game I ever played. It was like an essential part of it, getting the new stuff and not having it be completely random, but actually being able to take what you see on the dude. The dude dies, you take his stuff, but you don't get random stuff. You get what you see, unless it's inside his backpack. Then it will be spawning random loot based on several tags they can pre-program. It's going to be awesome. I mean,
Absolutely.
one of my big hobbies right now is to collect guns from dead guys and stuff them into the shelves of my ships.
And we are talking about Star Citizen, right?
Trophies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trophies.
That's
I
funny.
had,
So with the loot system, they actually are making that loot system variable. However, it will have some consistency. So if you were to go in an area where, say, you went into an abandoned medical facility, those crates that you loot would necessarily be tagged with something relating to medical gameplay.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. And from what the programmers are saying is that if you guys get in the game and you're looting and you start to feel like, oh, well this doesn't make sense, like these things shouldn't be here, it's really up to the designers at that point to select and tag those items to correlate with that area. So it wouldn't be an issue of the programming because they're saying that they've programmed X number of items so far, and then the system will allow the designers to go in and configure the gameplay and tag those items. I thought that was pretty cool. So it'll give it a very dynamic feel.
Yeah. I mean, I like the fact
Go
that
ahead, Moss.
you see what you get. Like if you shoot someone who's got purple armor and a gun, and you can see it, you can actually loot that stuff. But also there is a randomness behind it where in regards to loot that you can't see. So in the backpacks, in the pouches and stuff, there'll be some sort of thoughtful random generation of loot, which is great because you want surprises. You don't want oh look what I found on this guy, and so yeah, a good mix of both. It's awesome.
Thoughtful random.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thoughtful
So
random. That's cool.
they actually briefly covered harvestables, and they did say that eventually it is being worked on for farming. I guess if we're going to be able to do farming, they would also like harvestables to be more valuable. And I guess when they say valuable, not consumption, I'm assuming along with value, monetary value, which was a small idea. However, the one of the things that I was really intrigued about is refueling. So when in my gameplay, I'm a PvPer, but my fundamental interest is in a game's economy. With Pyro coming up, there will be very few refueling stations. That's going to open up the private market to be able to create, refueling stations with ship to ship refueling. Uh, Ship to ship refueling that's going to allow players, it's going to allow orgs to be able to bring fuel from Stanton to Pyro and make a shit ton of money, uh, especially with the docking system. I think is what they said that they were utilizing um, with the refueling. If I remember correctly, I may be wrong.
Yeah, it's similar.
Yeah.
It's based on the same tech.
So that programming is actually they're utilizing constructive gameplay. So once they took a while to get ship docking correct, now they're building on ship docking by putting in another game loop, and that's pretty awesome. So we see the constructive programming there from that. Uh, so I mean, I think that was mainly it, man. The EU PU team, there was kind of a diverse, broad spectrum that they fit in because they work on a lot of different things, and several times Jared had to not only ask them what they did, but a lot of the spectrum questions. He would also have to say, "No, guys, that's not what they work on." So, I mean, it seems like those guys are like a miscellaneous group. They're just getting this part and that part and
Yeah.
doing what they can. Uh, Much appreciated though, because that video actually had a lot of information in it.
Definitely
It
a
was,
good
it
And
was,
video.
we had a second video this week.
oh yeah, yeah, inside sources. What's up with that, Ace?
Well, it focused mainly on dynamic range and around the two new events that will be coming up.
That's right.
Well, Xenothreat 2 and Ninetales event. And that was really interesting because the video started off with, we took whatever feedback we got from you and put it into the refined version. And I'm really curious to see that because I enjoyed Xenothreat so much. It was felt like a whole different game. It was, if Star Citizen is here, Xenothreat took it just a notch up. It was
Absolutely.
just
Yeah, so
fantastic.
I didn't actually get to be involved with that last year because I wasn't here at the time. So, Maz, what exactly was going on during Xenothreat?
So Xenothreat was like a dynamic. Their sort of first example of what they call a dynamic event, if you like. where
Hmm.
it's a, correct me if I'm wrong, Ace, but a group called the Xeno Threat, which are a group that hates aliens. They're I
Yeah,
can't even say racist. They're xenoist, I suppose. And they're
xenophobes. Yeah.
yeah, and you're fighting them, but there was different stages. There was one stage where you had to go to some wreckage and get some cargo. There was another stage where you were fighting him, so it was kind of multi-phased, and I loved it, man. It was like
Yeah.
like Ace says, it transformed the game. We play the same 3 or 4 gameplay, like rudimentary gameplay loops, and if you're lucky, you meet someone else in the verse, and you have this kind of spontaneous, magical moment in Star Citizen. But this actually gave us content, and it brought everyone together, and it was exciting. I was like, jumping in with gusto to play the game. And for I remember one of the cargo things, phases. I was in almost a Congo line of players, like one guy to the left of me, one guy to the right of me, and imagine we're passing like cargo to each other, and I didn't know who they were, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, like, what are you doing here?" And we're just randoms, and it was just fun. It just really brought the community together. I think one of the biggest outcries, or there's always something kind of negative, or some people aren't happy, is that there was the pirates of Star Citizen, if you like. They didn't really have an avenue to go to kind of side with the Xeno threat, so they just did it themselves, and then people kind of called them
Hmm.
griefers because they're stopping us from testing the mission. And I could kind of see both sides of the argument, but the fact that CIG has absorbed that situation and altered this new Xeno threat
Yeah.
to allow criminals to have a path to officially be a criminal, and I'm not a criminal saying this, is amazing. It's awesome. So now people can
Yeah,
side
absolutely.
side with the bad guys without anyone calling them griefers, or this, that, or the other. So really, I'm looking forward to Xeno Threat 2, but I'm also afraid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did notice in that video with the Nine Tails lockdown, the other dynamic event coming up, that you will be able to choose your side.
That's right.
The NPCs will be looking for players to support on both sides. And then, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, some of us, we don't want to be, you know, upright citizens. We want to do nefarious things. And
Whatever
I
pays.
will, yeah, exactly. Hell, not even whatever pays. Just sometimes I like to be an asshole. It is what it is, man. Uh, so yeah, I'm interested in participating in that this year. I know you guys, everybody has said that it was a pretty cool event. Now, from the video, they said they're actually taking it to a whole new level this year, and there's some things that they even wouldn't divulge because they want us to be surprised. So with what you guys are saying about it, then I'm definitely amped about it.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
there
it's
was
gonna
some
be
stuff.
awesome.
There was some stuff about the AI and how it remembers your actions against
Oh
it.
yeah.
Like if you shoot an AI, I didn't really quite understand. If you shoot an AI, it would kind of remember that you shot it, and its behavior towards you would change in a way, or it might start shooting at you first if you came close to it or something. But there was some sort of AI
It,
enhancement in regards to your behavior towards it, which was interesting.
and I think if I remember correctly, that the way they programmed that is if you go a period of time without interacting or firing on it, it will reduce. So
Yeah, it had a
I think
decay
that's
time.
static.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Sorry,
think
Ace.
the main thought behind that was, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, man. The main thought about that might have been issues with friendly fire during the Xenothreat event,
Yeah.
because if you hit another player, you went red to them. So
Yeah. And I think,
it might have to do something with that.
yeah, I think if you hit the like the javelin or whatever, because it was such a big ship in the background, Ace. Like you're
Yeah,
defending the javelin, right? And you're dogfighting, but because it's such a big ship, you ended up hitting it a few times, and then you'd become a criminal and all that sort of stuff. So I think it was to address friendly fire on the AI.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because of the big
and
ships.
they said in this one that would indeed be with the fire to the NBCs, it would be more forgiving
Yeah,
than obviously to a player.
yeah.
So I do remember that part of the video.
Sounds like a good decision.
I mean, we did get a sprint report in that video. To be honest with you, nothing that that really stood out to me. To be honest with you, I mean, outside of, we do have Crusader coming up. It's going to be badass.
Yeah. All right,
Oh yeah.
let's move on to lore, guys. One of my favorite sections was speaking about lore and letting your imagination go off the handle. And today, guys, I was thinking maybe let's focus on the only system we know and love, Stanton, and what people's lives are like in Stanton. So let's break it down. We know that Stanton's owned by several companies, and life would be different in depending on which sort of planet you live on. So, starting off with Lorville, um, what do you think, Ace, is life like on Lorville, my friend? If you live there,
It's pretty much the worst life you can have on Stanton. You're technically a slave bought into labor, and you have to keep that contract going until you can leave, and then you'll never, never ever will be coming back to that place. It's horrible. For the average person in Stanton, um, Lorville is pretty much the worst place you can end up working at, no matter how good the pay might be.
yeah, and the pollution as
So,
well, the environmental destruction.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it's not even visually pleasing.
Mm,
I don't know.
yeah,
It's just 100% functional, and you can tell by the architecture.
Absolutely.
It's designed to be like effective but not pleasant.
Would you live there, Delta?
definitely. Hell no. Hell no. The fact that you said it wasn't pleasant reminded me of uh, when I was doing my research on this. Naturally, I was interested because I'm interested in economy. I was focusing more so on Hurston because it's a representation of bad capitalists,
Yeah.
or bad capitalism rather. Uh, the life labor style
Capitalism gone.
employee contract that they have. Yes, capitalism gone wild. If you remember those videos from the '90s, which had nothing to do with capitalism. Uh, so Hurston Dynamics, it pretty much is known for the life labor style contract. And that contract is very controversial because it pretty much consumes the life of the individuals. It's like getting a loan at a title loan place and having to pay back like 500% interest, a little bit at a time forever. To me, that's a human rights issue. Now, because it's a contract, this parties entering an agreement. Everyone theoretically reviews the fine print. However, that doesn't always work out. So it's essentially voluntary slavery.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
And not to mention, that you can tell that Hurston doesn't give a shit about the environment. You know, as
You can tell.
yeah. In contrast to like Microtech, which is a big tech company, they tend to have more liberal ideas. So what we're looking at is with Hurston, being focused more in the areas that it is with manufacturing and whatnot. Microtech, on the other hand, is more into the technological aspect on their cold ass planet.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
yeah. Sorry, go on.
oh, you good? You good? You can transition into that because
Uh
that's I was just it's a
oh,
soapbox issue.
I was going to give my opinion on Lawville, which is I imagine it to be depressing, polluted. I'm thinking like family level. I always try and empathize with like a family living there. Like you're a kid, you got parents living there. Your parents go to work, they
Mm.
work
Oh
hard,
God.
they're slimy and dirty when they come home, and that's like 95% of the population. And then you got that, or 99.9% of that population, and you got 0.1%, which are ultra rich, maybe even richer than anyone else in Stanton, because of the fact, like you say, they've got slave labor. You can't, what was it? You can't compete with free labor. So
You definitely can.
that was a line in, I think, actually, that was a line in Borderlands. Sorry, I was playing Borderlands last night. It was funny. Anyway, so, and then I'm thinking outside of Lawville, it's all like, scrap and mounds of scrap and stuff. And I'm thinking of like almost clans of people that have been exiled from Lawville that, been thrown out, or criminals, or poor, really, really poor people that can't even get a job. And the first thing that springs to my mind, man, is like a Mad Max type world where people have used that scrap to create different vehicles and armaments and tanks or whatever, and they've got like clans and stuff. That'd be like really cool. But anyway, what about
Would be
It
great.
the
is the apocalypse on the outskirts.
yeah,
Pretty
exactly.
much. It looks like it.
It
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
Yeah. The next planet's Arcorp, man. What's life like on Arcorp there, Ace? How do you imagine it?
Well, our corp is varied. I'd say it's like the most varied place you can have. It's one company owning the planet, but it rents out space and facilities to other smaller companies. So you got like a melting pot of cultures and
Yep.
ideas. It's even alien manufacturers have their base there. Well, not necessarily their base, but offices there. And
Yep.
Yeah, it's
um,
a great place for FPS drops too.
Yeah. All the big cities are a great place for FPS
soon, yeah.
drops.
One of the things, this is sort of tangenting, but one of the things that really interests me is the fact that with with Stanton, even though it's in the jurisdiction of the UEE, it actually doesn't participate in
Yeah.
uh, in the UEE Senate.
Yeah, that's because the four main planets are company owned. They decided not to let them partake in the Senate because as a means of avoiding corruption. And I mean, you can guess that they are not particularly interested in the well-being of their employees or the inhabitants of the planets. It's mainly the company first.
Do
Yeah,
we?
well, I kind of, as an American, I have an issue with that because that's regulation without representation. I mean, even though our philosophy of separating from Britain was totally different. It was taxation without representation, but that the UEE is there enforcing its law, but there is no representation.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. The UE still has a big presence in Stanton. They've got, I mean, I suppose UE owns everything because of their military might. So, did they rent out?
Yeah.
Did they rent out Stanton, or did they give away Stanton? Did they? Is it a lease, or is it?
Uh,
Or did they? Or do these companies own these planets forever?
as
That'll be interesting to know. I have no
I
idea.
don't know about the time frame, but I know it was like a big bidding going on
Right.
while they were selling off the planets to different companies.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
That's interesting
but not
because
sure about it about the time frame. If they were like 100, 200 year leases, or if it's like permanent forever. And
yeah.
who knows?
Well, with R Corp, man, I think R Corp cyberpunk. It's got pink neon lights, nightclubs, bars. As you said, Ace, I think it's got a mix of like, factory jobs, but then it's got businessmen, it's got white collar jobs. It's like a 50-50 blue collar, white collar type mix with, kind of a cyberpunk feel to it, like fashion, art, music.
Yeah.
I think would all come from R-Corp mainly, in my opinion. And it's interesting. It'd be a very exciting, diverse life, with, I reckon, all, like you say, all the different races would be all. They won't be at Hurston. If you're a Xi'an or a Banu, why the hell would you go to Hurston? You probably wouldn't go to Microtech unless you had
Yeah.
a job there. But R-Corp, you'd just go to party. Like, you would just go to like party or set up a business or something. So, um, yeah, I think R-Corp's got the potential for most excitement. And moving on is a Microtech, guys. Delta, what do you think about living in Microtech from what you've seen, or how do you imagine it?
So it reminds me of a cold ass Google.
Cold
So
ass Google. Yep.
man, yeah,
Google
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the
you got a
Antarctic.
point though. Yeah.
Silicon Valley in
Yeah, that's what it
Antarctica.
is. And we had this discussion in a previous conversation with about
Cold ass Google.
the fact that it's cold. I think Ace was the one that made this point. The fact that it's cold helps out because of, it's a tech-based company, so we would be able to envision servers everywhere. I mean, of course, our servers in 2900 is going to be totally different than they are these days, but the fact we would never eliminate servers unless we bored a hole into quantum physics, and that's a long fucking another theory that we could get into. However, we would have servers still. So the fact that it was cold. Ace, didn't you say that it was an accident? I
Yeah.
think you said that.
It was an accident that caused Microtech to go this cold. It was during the terraforming. The, the planet was not livable as it was, so they performed terraforming on it. It went slightly wrong, but happy
Oops.
accidents. So the cool temperatures actually help them with their data and their data centers and their servers and all their other tech equipment, which needs to be cooled. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the ideal conditions for them, and
That's fortuitous, serendipitous. So living there, I mean, I made a joke of it being a cold ass Google, but it's damn straight. I mean, that's about what it is.
it's
So I'd imagine
competent.
that living on Microtech would be in a severe contrast, not just from the environmental impact, but the actual daily life of the people in Microtech are more like the Google employees live. Like, in order to get from one level to the next level, they're gonna have slides and they're gonna be happier. There's not gonna be a shit ton of drug use. Maybe a lot of mushrooms and marijuana, but definitely not heroin like
Yeah.
on Lorville.
Yeah.
So I imagine
Yeah,
these citizens are much happier because they're
yeah.
gonna have
Microtech looks like you get free smoothies, fresh fruit, and you
yeah.
you get that served. It's not even you have to request it. It's like right there, and they take care of their employees. And they know a happy employee is an efficient employee. But I also think to end up at Microtech, you have to have certain skill sets that other people might not have, which makes up the difference in between you landing in Lorville or landing on Microtech.
Yeah. That's a good
Yeah,
point.
education.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like
So the average person is going to be have a higher level of education.
probably it's
Yeah,
not the son of some pirates that
Yeah,
happen
I
to end up
envisage
there.
like a massive, like, um scientists, inventors, geniuses, all being attracted to Microtech or getting jobs there and raising their families there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
very cultured, probably some pretentious and pompous people
Oh,
that
probably.
would never want to be around people from Lowerville, and then you'd have some that would in from Microtech that would create a liberal group that wants to domesticate and help the minorities of Lowerville. I could see a lot of political involvement there.
yeah.
Would be cool to get a little bit of that.
Get more of a sense of all
What
that.
about you,
Yeah.
man? I mean, Moz,
Yeah, man.
what's your opinion about it?
Yeah, I think it's bloody cold. I think it's all white collar, like really, like you say, kind of an elitist, and rightly so, because these guys would be inventing stuff that maybe no one, everyone else makes spaceships and guns. These guys, or mining, these guys like make technology that further the advancement of humanity. So there's a bit of an arrogance associated with that, and rightly so. And like you said, the data centers around Microtech are nice and cold because of the weather. But one thing Ace said was the fact that it's terraformed, right? And then you've seen pictures of the
Hmm.
Yeti, right, guys?
Yes,
Yeah.
And that
we're gonna be
Yeti,
hunting soon.
wait, that Yeti is on Microtech, right? I just want to get my facts straight. Is that right, Ace? Is that Yeti on Microtech?
Yes, it's on Microtech, but
So
I think it's a bioengineered creature. It's not native to the planet.
that's what I was going to say, because if it's a terraformed planet, it's not going to have any fucking fauna. Like, unless 1,000, 2,000
Yeah,
years go by and someone lets a rabbit out into the wild and the rabbit, or some other creature, like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have any natural creatures. It was terraformed. So it'll be interesting lore wise to see if finally, God willing, finally CIG introduce fauna and the technology allows them to have creatures on the planets, which is something I really, really want. What the lore is behind the creatures specifically on Microtech, because it was terraformed. Like, how did these things get here? How do they evolve? Like, it's quite interesting. But yeah, anyway, that's
Yeah, I guess we'll have to
what
look
what I
deep
don't
into
know.
that. Go
yeah.
ahead, Ace.
Sorry, what I don't know if it escaped somehow from some lab or something, or if it was actually an effort from Microtech to like
Experiment,
create the creature and settle it out to
deep dark
yeah
experiments. Yeah,
whatever to do some
under the
yeah.
nightclub. Under the nightclub. Next planet, guys. It's not out yet. We're eagerly awaiting this one in
Drum roll.
3.14.
uh,
Crusader. I mean,
Hell yeah.
all I've seen is video clips, but I still have a good imagination. So we've got floating city planets. We've got Crusader that owns it, that make, a lot of people say some of the most beautiful ships in the verse, if you're a Crusader fan.
I agree.
Um, and
Bougie ships.
a cloud gas giant planet, and whales as well coming. So again, I'll start with you, Ace. Close your eyes. Imagine you're a kid in Crusader with a mum and a dad. What's life like, man?
Life on Crusader is good. I think Crusader will probably be a company that also takes care of their employees. It will be similar to Microtech, I guess, like from the social feel you get from it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I see the place itself being super relaxing and super. It's hard to put in words. It it, it
I,
looks
I know
how
what you.
fluffy stuff feels, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, you're floating in the clouds. Like, that's got to have some tranquility on people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and actually, to go along with that video on Crusader, they specifically said that it's gonna have like that 1950s esque vibe
Yes.
with
So it's got its own
the
style.
daily work professional. Yeah, they're going to be in suits and ties, kind of an homage to that era, but in 2900. Uh, I was really skeptical how they were going to pull that off. To me, a floating city and a gas giant really
It's quite unique.
made me lean towards Lorville. Yeah, well, it's going to be depressing to me. And then they showed that video, and it's going to be very beautiful, man. Like
Mm.
all the details that they put in that, and the fucking whales. I can't wait to kill one.
I think the color palette also helps a lot. Like those. I mean, the lighting in Star Citizen, we have to mention that because I think it's fucking fantastic from every single aspect. The lighting is just up here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very pretty, and especially in the videos we saw from Crusader now, the days look beautiful with the sunsets and the pink and the blues shining through the clouds and everything, and the nighttime, the way they illuminated all their architecture there, oh, it just looked fabulous. It's gonna be a great place to hang out and
Yeah,
yeah, I can't
look
wait to
at stuff.
visit it.
I can't wait to see players just jumping off the edges of the platform. That's going to be a thing for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, so the first things that I'm gonna do once I get there, once I dock, get my ship put up,
Jump
I'm
off the
gonna
platform.
run over, and I'm gonna jump off. Yeah, and then I'm gonna kill a fucking whale.
You're going to dive off the platform with a trident in hand and just straight into a whale. Love it.
Oh, dude, that is the exact idea that I had. It's the second time that happened in the show. That's funny. I was
Actually,
thinking,
if you had a mate flying under you, okay,
Yeah.
under the whale, you'd be jumping off a platform, shoot the whale, jump into the ship from a high height, and
oh,
he'd be going.
jump off the platform with the trident, stab it in its head, then
Into a
pole
ship.
vault off of the trident into the ship.
That's it.
Well,
That's
looks like we got a plan for the release of Horizon and the Space Whales.
yeah. We're definitely now that we all created that idea together. I'm gonna need you guys help me make that successful.
We'll try.
We'll try our best,
We'll
mate.
try.
Uh,
I mean, I
yeah.
agree with
Well,
Ace. I agree with Ace. I think it's clear life is pretty good. I can't even imagine what a ghetto would look like on a floating platform. I don't think there even was like a ghetto type area. So Crusader clearly has got
they'd screw
style.
that bit off and let it fall to the
So
planet.
let's look at it from a
That's right.
sociological perspective. With a floating platform, you have no area where you can waste or that you're going to leave derelict.
Yeah,
Every piece of space is going to be utilized. Therefore, any scrap, any residuals is going to have to be removed and
yeah,
taken somewhere else. So there would be no ghetto because every space is prime real estate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there's no way that could ever develop there.
Yeah.
So I absolutely agree with you. There's
So yeah, I think life's good. I just like we'll get into Grim Hex as well, but they're both got the same thing where floating somewhere and living somewhere and putting your head down on a pillow every night, knowing like I've gone on boats and stuff, and yeah, I can sleep quite comfortably on a boat. But there's still the back of my mind that, for example, if the boat's anchor comes loose, we could float somewhere, for example. There is this sort of cloud in the back of my
Mhm.
mind on a boat. And I'm thinking if I was in Grim Hex or if I was on a floating platform, would I be 100% totally relaxed depending on in Crusaders uh, in the Crusader in Orison's term, you're depending on technology because there's thrusters that are keeping these platforms in a special orbit, right, around Crusader, and when they start sort of decaying, these thrusters flare up and push it back up to optimal position. So that's an interesting lifestyle as well, just floating somewhere and living your life. I find that intriguing.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. You always have that slight element of insecurity or insecurity about something you can't really influence. I mean, someone could have fucked up in the last inspection or whatnot, and suddenly the platform starts dropping towards the planet, and yeah,
Yeah. All right.
you have to trust your co-fellows there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, moving on next to the final destination in Stanton, guys, is Grim Hex, the notorious Grim Hex,
Uh,
where it's not even like.
so Grimheck,
Yeah, go ahead, D.
yeah, I was just saying that it actually reminds me of the belt in the Expanse. That's what it reminds me of a
The
lot.
Belters, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Belters. And living there would be fucking depressing because
Yeah,
I'm depressed with the exception of when I hit up that one store they have for clothing. That's about the only thing that interests me
it's a
about
good
Grimax.
store.
Otherwise, I'm miserable. It's a
I
good
didn't
store.
take you to the gun store, my friend.
Yeah, we did go to. I think we did. Yeah.
Not on Grimhacks, no.
Okay. Well, we'll have to go to that. But right
They
now,
got some cool stuff.
Cubby Blast is
Is
the
your
area
shop.
where I want to go. That's a badass. That's a badass store, dude.
That's
Dude,
Delta's
I
store.
got a lot of good shit from this store. I probably spend 100K there. Um, and I'm done. Like I have to go back. Ace told me we had to leave, so I had to leave. But as far as Grimhex is concerned, like I'm miserable as a citizen going there. So living there, I think I would commit suicide.
There you go. Straight
I
from the
think it
heart.
has like a slight feel it, to me it always feels a little bit like an anarchist community.
It is.
Like it's not necessarily a bad place, but you have a bunch of people who make do with what they got
Yep.
and accept pretty much everything. That's
Yeah.
how I see Grimhacks. It's more like an anarcho community or something like that.
Yeah. I view it exactly the same, except I view it as an anarchist community in a way that obviously they have to work together to keep the peace. But I also feel that at any second, if I was living there, at any second, a particular faction that gains more power than other factions will just start exerting its power. Like that could happen tomorrow,
Oh,
today.
absolutely.
So there's this sort of volatile system that you're living under that you have freedom, but you don't have freedom of security, I suppose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that sums it up pretty well. It's you got more possibilities, but it's more possibilities in every aspect. So
Yes, that's a great way of putting
might
it.
turn out well, might not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my character, I don't know if you guys have written or if you bothered to write a backstory or whatever for your character.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking of Death of a Spaceman, where
Actually, yeah.
I write a page on my character, and the first 5 minutes when the game's like officially released, if you like, or whatever, my character dies, and it's the next generation. So I just wasted all this sort of thought into my character. But anyway, my first character is, and my main character, hopefully he survives, is actually born in Grim Hex. So that's where I sort of consider myself to be from. So every time I land in Grim Hex, I'm like, I'm home, you know? That's kind of my thoughts on it. But I agree with Delta. It is depressing. And I think if there was more NPCs and you know, the factions were fleshed out, it'd be a bit of a scary place sometimes because all the criminals and stuff hang out there, and it's interesting.
What do you
Um,
think the ease of getting drugs there is?
oh, I think the
Excuse me. Come again.
The ease of getting drugs.
Oh well, it's a free place. You know,
there'd be drugs everywhere, Delta.
like
everywhere,
Exactly.
all day long,
Yeah,
like crack
yeah.
and meth and other variants of those drugs that would completely probably dissolve your insides.
That's it.
I think the most popular stuff around there is Widow, and the after effects are visible on the dude who's to be found in the basement of Grimheist. He doesn't look too healthy.
No,
He's trying to recover.
he's got black
He's
veins.
trying to recover. Yeah,
He's
well,
trying to recover.
So quick before
He's
we
trying. He's got a.
is
Yeah,
trying
go
to get
ahead.
better. So before we wrap this up, the law section. So quick votes around the table. Where would you live? Tell me right now. Bang! I'm putting you on the spot. Delta. Where would you live?
Art,
Uh,
art court.
Arcor. Ace.
Yeah, art
I live
court.
on my MSR. Might sound weird, but
Oh
that's the
no,
place I live at.
no. That's quite valid, man. That's quite valid. Spacefarer.
It's like my space camper van.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah. Spacefarer. No, that's
It's a flying
legit.
apartment.
That's a legit answer. I would say, like Arcorp. I want to say Crusader because you're in the clouds and stuff, but I think living on a planet that's the whole thing is Las Vegas is one hell of an exciting thing to live on. So I think I would go for Arcorp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, our corp is where you party, man.
Yeah.
That's definitely the place you want to go.
There's so much to do there, man, and it's good balance between everything. Naturally, you would have a ghetto somewhere
Of
in
course.
in there somewhere because it's got a little bit of everything. So that's what I like. I like a nice balance, and Art Court provides that, and it's
Oh,
beautiful, man.
Oh
Ace and
yeah.
we rode through the other night, flying through, and I took some shots. I'll actually have to post them in our Discord. It was fucking amazing. I think I even took some videos as well. So, guys,
awesome.
with that, all of that being said, where we are now to a point where we can go run into open mic. We've now covered, Star Citizen Live, Inside Star Citizen. We've entered a new realm that I don't see in many podcasts or content creation with the lure, and we'll keep bringing you lure every week. We'll choose a subject, and then we'll just play mind tennis with it. And speaking of mind tennis, we're actually gonna go run into open mic. What are your thoughts on that, Ace? What are you?
Well, Alien Week was interesting mostly for me because of the new ship. I love the design. The Gatek Raylan looks amazing. Looks
Yeah.
great, and I don't even care for cargo holding, but it's just pretty, man. It's just really pretty, and I appreciate every little bit of detail they put into it. It's just
The
really.
Gatak.
You can tell, like with every ship release, they are kind of raising the bar, and I fall in love with all the new ships all the time. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
other than that, Alien Week had a few other things coming. Like I think it had a alien cooking contest combined,
Oh, that's right.
and it had obviously the sale,
Yep.
well,
which where you could like get the new alien ships and the other alien ships which you usually can't get, and a few new skins that came in, which actually look pretty damn amazing. Other than that, there wasn't too much happening. It's not like there was any in-game event or anything. It was mainly stuff on the RSI side.
what
But
about you, Moss? What you got? You got any soapbox issues? You got any specific ideas you want to throw out there?
No, just Alien Week, I suppose, was the thing on my mind, but what I sort of
Anticlimactic.
uh, I suppose, yeah. I mean, it's like it's the second week after Invictus, and it's an opportunity for more ship sales, which CIG has to do because they haven't figured out how to earn revenue through another mechanism yet. But I did see some things, like I did see more players trying to lift the spirit of Alien Week by actually flying around in their Banus and stuff. I did notice more alien ships, and I was like, "Oh, God bless these guys! At least they're trying, because there is nothing in game at all.
yeah,
There is
that's
no." There is no in-game thing happening. But then I thought, there's no aliens in the game yet. So Alien Week is going to be an empty marketing sort of exercise until slowly aliens are actually in the verse. Then they'll probably have in-game events with aliens and stuff. So I think with time, Alien Week
Oh
will
yeah.
get better. It's kind of my
It's
conclusion there,
okay. So
Delta.
so let me. I have an issue, and this is a subject that gets thrown around a lot. But I'd like to put it in a perspective or position it to where we theory craft what the potential of the game is going to be and how that dynamic is going to completely revolutionize this entire game. When server meshing is achieved in that IRL life 2099, uh, what do you think Star Citizen is going to be like? How is it going to change?
It
What's
will
going to be
change
different?
everything. Oh yeah, it
Everything.
will change everything. In my opinion, it will change very much the way people play the game, because you'll not only have the meshed servers and like way more people on them, you will also have at that point probably stuff like Death of a Spaceman implemented, and you'd be more cautious with the decisions you make. You'd think twice about, okay, I'm gonna just shoot the guy or open fire on this player.
A shit ton more strategy, a shit ton more involvement, and a shit ton more PvP for me. So
But
with
also way more to lose,
yeah,
because once
but
your character is dead, he's dead. That's
well, I think the idea of cloning is going to change that because one of those ideas in the videos that we did watch this week was insurance. So if you have medical insurance, part of that is going to be able to clone your character, and you'll get so many clones. So it's not going to be to where if you die, it's permanent. If
I don't
you
know.
you can afford the insurance, you'll get several opportunities to clone yourself. Uh,
Yeah, that'll
I
be
think the
interesting.
economy is going to change dramatically.
Oh yeah, very much.
I would definitely love, especially after that Tony Z video we got about a month or so back. The economy is something that I would love to see, but I think server meshing is going to be necessary for and when I say this private industry, when I say private, I mean outside of the NPCs of the game and the what the game has structured for us selling back to its market, player to player transactions, more or less what I'm going along with there,
Yeah.
because I'm tired of being on servers with just 50 people. It seems very desolate that way.
Yeah, it's not the only issue. I mean, there's ships that have like 30 people crew. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
play with 30 people crew ships if you
Isn't
got
there
50.
one that's got 80?
Might be. I don't know how many people the Jav needs, but it's
I think
substantial.
one of the capital ships requires 80.
I,
It's,
I
it's
think
one
I
of those
think I
bigger
think a
ships.
javelin would be the whole server at least. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, pretty
ridiculous.
much.
We definitely need. I think, in my opinion, what they should be doing is now that the CIG has over 600 employees, we need to back off on some of this flair. We need to back off on introducing any new armors, any bullshit that can be done later down the road. Give us server meshing. We need server meshing to make the game more interesting and attractive to players, because one of the things that's going to happen when we get server meshing, and people need to be aware of this, and it happens in every MMO. When we have server meshing, those players that are and don't, or I'm not going with the griefers. When I talk about PvPers, I'm talking about those individuals that like challenges. not the individuals that are being bullies and constantly attacking players that can't defend themselves, but players that are united together that want a challenge to test their skills. So they go after targets and orgs that can defend themselves so they get a challenge. But once that happens and we get server meshing, even though, as Ace alluded to, you die, there's going to be ramifications. Hell, even if you can clone yourself, there's going to be ramifications. But the universe will wind up being divided into territories that are org owned. That's my opinion. It always happens in MMOs. There's some aspects of this game that will try to deflect some of that, but like the law system, the UEE NPCs will come after you. But if an org with skilled enough players are able to crack that matrix and defeat that system or circumnavigate it in whatever way they find a gameplay loop inside of that, server mesh is going to essentially revolutionize this game to a whole new level that I don't think a lot of people are even able to comprehend. But being able to have more than 50 players, I mean, dude, let's just like halt the brakes on a lot of things, back up, focus on some of the issues that we've been dealing with for a long time, a lot of the bugs, and focus on at least giving us 50 more players. You know, if they give us 50 more players, that's 100% more. So,
Yeah.
I have to slightly disagree with that because it's not like, okay, they got 600 employees and they can just put the 600 employees to work on server meshing. It would not make any sense because a bunch of those guys are just artists. And talking from an artist's perspective, if you sit me down in front of the computer and say, okay, come on, fix server meshing, I'll just pour a bucket of water over the keyboard and hope for the best.
Yeah, and I did hang myself with that broad blanket statement. But what I was really trying to get at was we need to allocate some more resources.
Oh yeah, I can get on board with that one.
So you got me there. Um, so I mean, outside of that, I mean that's it, guys. We uh, we ran through everything. I think that was a good podcast to the listeners, guys. You know, just bear with us. That was the first podcast. We'll
End
get
of
better
episode 1.
as we go along. End of episode 1. Do you guys, if you want to contact us, you want to send in some questions that you want us to read on the show, and have us play some mind tennis with it, send us an email at thecitizenfeed@gmail.com. You will also provide some links to our social media down below in the description. Outside of that, Moss, you got anything?
No, this is Mozsta69, and see you next time.
Ace, you got anything?
Play safe, everybody.
Absolutely. Everybody, we'll see you
See
in the
you in the
verse.
verse.